This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks NYC. I have the pleasure of bringing a Halo Alumni Academy member and an evangelist in this industry for quite some time. She's probably touched many lives and friends of yours out of the California area where I used to live. So welcome to your first Halo Talks, inaugural Halo Talks for Kristin Anderson. Good to see you.
Thanks again, Pete. It's great to see you too. And I always enjoy talking to you and always love hearing what you're doing in the world because you just don't stop, and I love it.
Yeah, I think there was a song like "Don't Stop Till Your Body Rocks, Get Up." So we can do that. We can play that as like an interlude. Yeah. Just cue my audio, guys. Get that royalty free. All right. So look, you've been one of the innovators in this industry. Obviously, like somewhat ahead of the curve on what people want, what people need. Every time you and I talk, we kind of say like, here's what I'm working on. And then like people start talking about it a year later, like yourself was like, you knew the next episode or the next season. So give us an update on I don't need it, but tell people a little bit about what your background is and now where you're focused.
Thank you, Pete. My name is Kristin Anderson. I am a high-profile Pilates teacher out of Los Angeles for my day job. And for the rest of my life, I see the world in movement study. I grew up as a competitive figure skater. I have basically not stopped moving. I got an accounting degree on purpose so I could have my own businesses and open my own studios and make my own choices. And in the decades that I've been doing that, you are right. I'm very good at seeing like where the world's going or how people are going to go because gravity doesn't quit, time doesn't stop, and it affects all of us. And if I don't put myself out there in the world and find community and identity and, and what I believe in, then I don't do well. So this is my space. And you're right. I've had a few products that have been very successful, and it is hard a little bit to see ahead of the curve because you get frustrated or people don't believe you. However, it gives you the time to not just develop something, but really understand how to integrate it. And so currently I've just started working on my newest app and my newest concept, which is basically you don't need to work out for an hour and do all this massive suffering and take out some of your life because you want to be fit or healthier, unless that's what you want, and that's different. But what I've really noticed is that some kind of movement, regardless of who you are, will get you some endorphins, will get you a little unstuck from wherever you're stuck, whether it's moving or not. And that actually influences the rest of your life and all these other areas that we're always trying to knock down. Like, for example, from the beginning of time, human beings are like in pursuit of 4 different things, whether you want to call it the elements like air, water, earth, fire, or you want to call it freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of, scarcity and religion. We are all trying to obtain these things both independently and as a collective. And what I can often see is where I intersect with that and then where others intersect with that. And it is one of my favorite things to just work with people and to just kind of listen and see what I can see and what I can feel. And it gives me super great joy to help somebody or empower somebody to move better. I mean, I make suggestions and that person has to do it or not. And then they usually pass that on and then I feel better and the world goes around.
Let me stop you there. Let me ask you a question on that before you move on. So don't forget your thought, but you impact a lot of people's lives locally, through your Pilates and through your personal training. What gives you like the inertia or like desire to say like, I need to scale this? Because some people come to us and say, hey, I'm doing this awesome thing locally. And like you're affecting hundreds of people, right? And now like I want to expand it to thousands. And I know, you're like me, like I'm not doing things because I'm trying to make a certain amount of money. I'm doing things because like I feel like the universe is like telling me to like, expand this because more people need to hear this. So how do you think? And then you can get back to whatever else you were saying.
Well, that's
if that's actually, okay. Sorry for the interlude here, but I need it.
Yeah, but because you're right, that's to a fault. Sometimes I'm not there to make money. I'm there because I can see the positive effect it has on people. And at the end of the day, I know if I have a positive effect on somebody else, it will go around and around and around. And I really believe in the power of one person and just like that, almost the butterfly effect of if I can help you, then you can help someone else. And it's not just my expertise. it's almost the opposite of that. It's like I can distill it down to some just basic thought or basic movement, and that really inspires somebody. And to give someone the gift of a better day is kind of my purpose. And then if you can do that for somebody that's not like you, or it doesn't seem like they're like you, then it spreads on. And we are all the same. We're kind of the same human body, all of us, however we operate it, it's different, but we all age. And if we don't, it's the alternative. We all are affected by our endocrine system, by gravity, by time, by situations in life coming up. And as you know, when you get out of your own way and you help somebody, there's no better feeling. And then you can rest at night because you know that you made a difference in that day.
It's interesting. When I was out in California, I was watching the sunset, and I was thinking to myself, like, one, how far away is the sun? Okay, to your gravity comment. Yep. It turns out it's 95 million miles away. So when you see a ray of light that hits your eyes, it took I want to say it's like 9 minutes to actually get from the sun to you. And also, I was like, how fast are we going? Okay, on this planet, because everyone's in a rush all the time. And I looked that up, and actually the Earth is rotating around the sun at the slow speed of 66,000 miles an hour. Okay. And it's rotating at 1,200 miles an hour. So I usually say to people, like, the only thing you really need to focus on to be not really upset about whatever's going on in your life is gravity. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you'd have to own a cement business to stay on this thing if there wasn't a gravitational pull to actually keep you here. So on your point of slowing down, understanding where you are, making sure I have a good day and do the right things. I just thought that was an interesting set of metrics that I was trying to get a hold of, because I was like, you got to know how fast you're going in everything except on the planet.
Yeah. And that's a perfect perspective. And it's that's exactly what I'm talking about. If you just stop for a second, throw yourself in neutral and look around, it's all right here for us. And there's things we can't control. Gravity is the best example, and it wins every time,
right.
Basically.
So, what are some of the things when you look at your day right now, how do you construct your day to, taking care of yourself, taking care of other people, work related, obviously the 1,000 ideas that you don't write them all down like me, and probably have a clipboard of oh, that's a great idea. That's a 2026 idea, and somehow kind of, put that in your Dropbox. And then do you want to change any of that, or what, where are you, where you say look, I think I figured this out, let me give you some wisdom.
It's a really great question, because I keep thinking that I want to work less with people one-on-one, and I want to walk my dog more, and I want to get into my personal sports and fitness more. And then I'm at the place in my life where I can make those choices, and then I do. And then it's oh, but this is not who I am. This is not how I feed my humanity. And so what I've done is kind of chopped up my year in blocks, almost like quarters. Okay, for this amount of time, I'm going to work with clients, for 4 months or 6 months, so I can get to someplace with them. And then I always have a bigger picture in mind about what kind of movement study can people take in, will they take in, and, do they want? And then I can take that concept after 4 months, and we have technology, and then I can kind of shop it around the world and see if people are receptive or not. And then the other thing I've learned is, if a kid or a young person, somebody under 25, can understand, accept, and then put forth any of my ideas or concepts, then it's fine. And anyone who doesn't accept it has their own stuff in the way. So I've learned to have a balance of being in the middle, younger people, mentors, older people. And then when we were talking, it's community, not being lonely. It's, fighting for what you believe in, you're really about, getting rid of childhood diabetes and obesity, because those things are still around, and you can't sleep at night when it's out there going on. And I have that same thing. It's it's just a tiny bit of movement makes me feel better, you feel better. And then I still have time to do all my other things, because when I get out of balance, it's not good. And I've been fortunate enough to learn that about myself. Yeah, so I stay in balance with a bunch of clients, some kind of sport, some kind of person that I'm mentoring, and then being, mentored myself.
The term "feed your humanity," by the way, I don't know if that's trademarked. Is that from somewhere else? Or did you kind of come up with that? I just Googled it real quick. It's some people donating blood in Bulgaria.
Oh, that I just came up with in that.
I like that. I kind of like that.
In this moment.
Might get a cease and desist from the Bulgarians, but besides that, let's use it until we lose it.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good promotion. It's like, hey, then like, okay, maybe we do donate blood. I don't know, but I like that.
Yeah. So talk about ways that people that are listening to this podcast can interact with you.
Well, I have my own podcast called the Pilates Power Hour in 20 minutes, and no one wants to hear me ramble on for 20 minutes. So what that is basically where Pilates or movement intersects in someone's life journey and why they discovered it or why not, and how come it matters. And so, like, for example, I'll do something. I'll look at why Taylor Swift does Pilates, because she
Are you a Swiftie, by the way?
I am a Swiftie, and she's a huge Pilates advocate.
I'm a huge Swiftie, by the way. Huge.
So this is why we get along. It's the foundational.
I went to Indianapolis. It was the best weekend of my life.
Oh my God, I love that. It's hard to get those tickets, really. I mean,
no, you have to use a credit card, and you have to like call and say, like, can I put this amount on it? That's how you get them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I get that. I like that. And for me, I try to use my connections. Like I'm really careful with them, but not, when you got to do it, you got to do it.
Did you lever that a couple times for Swiftie concerts?
Just once.
Okay, it's cool. All right, go back to the well again next tour.
Yeah. So like, for example, she cites Pilates as why she doesn't fall down on stage and why she can have balance and longevity along with straight training and cardio. Then you cut over to...
Shout out to Riley Mitchell, who made me a Swiftie. Thank you, my goddaughter.
So good. See, it's the youngs. They keep us in line. It's good stuff. Totally. And then, like, even though they did lose this year, the Kansas City Chiefs literally have Pilates as part of their training regimen 2 hours a week, because studies now show that it takes down on upper body injuries, neck injuries, and then chest and core injuries. So you have all kinds of people understanding that movement, or certain kinds of movement, you don't have to do it forever, but it really does help you, live a better life, a longer life, a safer life. And so and then it's like regular people, like my hair person. She does Pilates because she's like, it's the best return on investment. She's like, I do 20 minutes of Pilates. Yeah. And it's assistance, resistance, 2 directions, fighting gravity from the inside out. She's like, and I stand all day and I don't want to do exercise after that. So I gotta get back
into doing Pilates. I got on my Soul Cycle kick, and now I got my Swifties. So I got to listen to my playlist. Yeah, I got a lot going on here. I might have to do like 12 to 30 minutes of Pilates every day. I have a question for you. So back in 2010, I was working with a company, and they had owned a couple of companies. One of them was Power Pilates. And I don't think I fully appreciated the power of Pilates at the time. I did some solid core classes. I did some other classes at some boutique studios, and I absolutely felt like from a, life, changing your body in the least amount of days and the way you feel was definitely like the best value for me, and also like the quickest return on time. There's like everyone's talking about Pilates now. It's like, Pilates this, Pilates that. There's a new reformer, there's new that, and that's awesome. My question to you is like, does Pilates kind of have a tipping point? Because other workouts have like a 10-year horizon. And Pilates has been around for a long time, so it's kind of proven. But I just wonder, how, there's not going to be like a Pilates next to every McDonald's.
Well, here's what I mean.
Maybe, I don't know. It could be a cool combo meal.
So there's constants and fads, right? So we know it's not a fad, it's a constant. And almost all physical therapy is based on it. So basically, what you're doing, whether you're doing mat Pilates or machine Pilates, is you're changing gravity a little bit by repeating the same movements you would functionally, but let's say lying down with assistance and resistance. So your body gets this little bit of a little bit of space in between your joints, ligaments, muscles, just enough for fresh blood to kind of come in and then take away the junk, add some nutrients. And so you're kind of getting this reoxygenated moment where you don't have gravity, but you're also pulling yourself apart, almost like being in water. And so what I think is you're going to start to see school kids and that kind of thing, instead of having calisthenic based understanding, they're going to have a Pilates based understanding. And I mean, just weight training. I love strength training. I love heavy lifting. And I lift more because I apply the methodology of like pulling and pushing. So I'm setting my muscle series up and then I'm driving through it. And I think that just the adoption of Pilates in high level sports and the crucialness of it is really where it's at. And things that are going to last take a long time to take hold, And
yeah.
that's and
I mean, it's been around for 60 years now or more.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's
Has it been? What's the date? Let's get the right date.
54, 1954,
oh, really?
1956.
So I was pretty right. I was pretty close.
Yeah,
I don't want to fill my audience with my own statistics unless I make them up myself.
Then you can be responsible for them. But yeah, that's when it arrived in New York City. Happenstance that Joseph Pilates found a space next to Martha Graham's studio. So it wasn't designed for dancers, but it was landed next to dancers. And a dancer type of person is, very cerebral in their physical movements, and they're also physical. And Pilates is a lot of connecting things in different series of stuff. So it spoke to the dancers, it spoke to that crowd, it didn't get marketed. And then those people kind of took it out from there. And then it really popped in the 90s when celebrities started to do it, in LA. And then magazines started to show them doing it. And that's all of a sudden it took off. And that's where we had the Pilates classes or Pilates certifications on every corner.
Yeah.
And then the Wall Street Journal did this expose on how many hours has your Pilates teachers had, because people were getting hurt and all that. So I think we've passed at least the certification understanding that is a little deeper than that. But I think what we're getting into is people kind of putting the word Pilates on like a stick and a band, which can be easily. I mean, I can make Pilates out of a pencil, but it's because I understand.
I dare you. I double dog dare you to do it. Do it right now. So,
it's like, so.
I got a breaking news. Yeah. It was started in the summer of 1914, and it was in Germany, right around World War I starting. Joseph, yes. And then it gravitated to the U.S. after that. So I just want all my listeners here to know that we're over 100 years of Joseph Pilates, but probably like 50-ish years of Joseph Pilates in the U.S. market.
So he was kind of a sickly-ish kid, and so he would study the movement of animals. And he would try to take acrobatics and this and that. And he noticed that when animals move or run, they hit the ground and they pull themselves through the motion. So he was really coming from nature as he was developing this. And then he's a nurse in World War I. Guys are in traction, like their arms and legs are hanging. And he realizes, oh my God, when you get up after your arms and legs are healed, you're going to just fall right down because your core is mush. Yeah. So he would start to help soldiers move their arms and legs through that traction machine so their core would be ready when they stood up. And then he gets on a boat. He meets his wife, Clara Pilates, on the way to New York, and here we go.
Her last name was Pilates?
Oh, Clara's wasn't in the beginning. But yeah, you know what's funny is every once in a while, there's a lot of Kristins where I live. And so I'm like Kristin Pilates, KP, Kristin Pilates. And there's like Kristin Hildebrand. Every once in a while, you'll get somebody who's like, your last name is Pilates? It's great.
That's nice, right? It can't be any better, respect than that, or like.
No, and it's and let them come for me in that same way of the Bulgarian blood.
And let's make it clear that Joseph Pilates did not start this with a number 2 lead pencil.
No. He had many chains and machines that were well made, and they're still standing today. They're a little harsh.
Look kind of like a torture, area to be, you go on there to kind of like, and I remember when we partnered with this group, it was kind of intimidating, to go on with those things. And, it was a large machine, and it was like one-on-one, and it wasn't like, when you're doing a private or semi-private, it's not really for an audience,
No.
So you can't really you can't be like, yo, what's going on there? Let me watch. You don't watch somebody do Pilates, at least.
No, you don't. And that is actually really true. And I've never heard it said like that, but yes. And then people are like, I get a lot of this.
Is it okay the way I said it or no?
Oh, no, it's true. That's actually a perfect
just feed your humanity. Keep going.
Yeah, exactly. And I like to say, people are especially guys like yourself, they're like, oh, is this a lady exercise? Whatever. And I'm like, it's never turned anybody into a lady, not any man or woman.
The first time I did Pilates, I was the next day I woke up damn, yeah, good. I know I can handle this. The second day I could not move. Physically, I couldn't get out of my car. Anyway, awesome. So, as you think about where the industry's going, you've got solid core that's been really successful. You've got, inside of large clubs, Pilates has been, a great revenue generator, a great way to get members engaged. Where do you see things over the next 5 years with basically maybe an over overexposure to Pilates. As long as somebody doesn't come out with like $9 Pilates, I think we're okay.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is people understand that they don't have to have these long periods of repertoire, that they can take these more like bite size or specific size areas of Pilates. Like if you're sport recovery, you're going to do a certain kind of series of Pilates based movement for sport recovery versus sport preparation or just rehab or all the things that it's used for now, but like takes up a lot of time or needs a lot of education. I think especially with AI and technology, you're going to be able to, talk to your Pilates bot, let's say, and then just get what you need because it does inform the human body against gravity because it doesn't quit. And it always makes people feel good. It helps pull your bones up. It gives you about 4 hours of extra cushion, throughout the day. Wow. So I think it's going to become part of how people understand calisthenics or push-ups or running or something like that. It's going to become normalized. And so we're going to get we're get the bump of things that are a little bit over marketed, but I really think that it sticks because people love it. They don't really, unless you're really improperly trained, we're kind of over where people are getting hurt from it. And now it's just like a normal word.
Yeah, that's great. Well, look, we love having you on. Please hit up Kristin if you need anything in and around her domain, which seems pretty vast and global. She'd rather talk to you and help you than walk her dog, but she walks her dog enough. So don't worry about taking up some of her time. And look forward to seeing you at the next couple events. And appreciate you kind of waving the Halo flag as proudly and as aggressively as you are. So appreciate everything you're doing.
Absolutely. I'm a lifelong believer. And I also look forward to the next Academy, Pete.
Awesome. All right, on 3, Halo. 1, 2, 3, Halo.
Halo.
Bam.